Self-love is about creating space so that the most authentic version of yourself can arise within that space. I'm going to explain to you exactly what I mean by creating space, and I'm going to give you some specific examples in heart, mind, body, and soul so that you can create more space for the best, most beautiful, badass fucking you to arrive and rise and grow and flourish right here and now. My name is Coach Quiggy. I'm a self-love coach, a mindfulness teacher, and I'm super stoked to have you here with me. When I say create space, what I really mean is slow down. And there's a visceral sense of creating space, and you might feel it when I give you some examples here in a moment, but really it's about slowing down so that we are less so reacting to life from our conditioned responses, which come from our upbringing. They come from how we were raised culturally. And we tend to, as human beings, learn really well, and then our brain will have us just react to the world around us based on what we have learned before. And the problem with this is that most of us are reacting unconsciously in the vast majority of moments throughout our days. What you choose to do may or may not even really truly be your choice if it's happening from a subconscious programming that is running the show, behind the show. And the problem with this is that your life is going to be determined by the survival mechanisms of the brain. And you probably know and feel this to a certain degree. Oh, I want so badly this thing, but I keep doing this thing. Well, you're reacting. And we react when we move fast. In fact, reaction thrives in the quick pace of moment to moment. Let's go do the same shit over and over and over and over and over again. We live in a day and age that wants us to go fast, and so it makes it really hard for us to respond. When we create space, we are slowing down enough that there is room for us to see things differently, to choose differently, and really for us to get to know what is most true for us, what is most authentic to us. When we are running on autopilot, we are predisposed to react and make choices in the world based on what we have learned, again, from upbringing and conditioning. And so many of us are learning the American dream myth of, oh, I want the white picket fence and the family and the dog and the financial security. And you're pursuing that unconsciously, reactively, and yet you're dying on the inside. And many of us have to live with that cognitive dissonance. There's the part of you who's like, please make some space for me to do what I really want to do. And then there's you that's reacting. That's the survival brain. A mentor of mine, Peter Crone, says, either you create a beautiful life for yourself or your brain will do it for you, and you will not like what your brain does. So when I'm talking about creating space, what I mean is slowing down and creating enough space so that you are not constantly reacting and deferring to choices that are really made for you based on the programming in our society. We live in a consumerist, capitalist society, and there are pitfalls with that, and there are beautiful aspects of that. This is not so much about, oh, I'm going to blame the who made me do this. It's like, no, every culture is going to have strengths and weaknesses, and our job as individuals is to take responsibility for the ways in which we are conditioned, and then decide by creating enough space and getting in touch with what is true for us, what is really in integrity, which of these aspects we want to maintain and which we want to break free from. So when we create space, when we slow down, we can really start to get curious as to what's true for us rather than what has been defined for us. So how do we create space? And how does this allow the most authentic, true, and free form of you to arrive and rise and grow and flourish? I like to think of it as mind, body, heart, and soul. And there's different ways that you can create space in each of these. Let's start with mind. When it comes to having counsel and perspective, when you engage with a friend who can help you see a situation in a different way, or you're reflecting in a journal and you're free writing and you're getting your thoughts and your emotions out on paper and you start to see the story from more of a bird's eye view, you're creating space. You can see a new lens, a new perspective on the way that you have reactively been perceiving the world around you. Our perceptions of the world around us, the stories that we tell ourselves about A, B, and C, about him and her and them and that thing and that circumstances, those are reactive. And so when we are engaging with someone who can give us some perspective, or we're engaging with ourselves in a really curious way, we can create space in the mind from which we can see things in a different lens, and we can make different choices based on that new perspective. Another thing that I really have found valuable, incredibly fucking valuable in creating space for myself and my life is travel. When you move out of your typical daily routine, you have a chance to remove yourself from all the habituation and the habit loops and see things from a fresh perspective. And of course, you know, the first day of vacation, the second day of vacation is the fucking shit. You're like, oh my God, we crave that novelty. We need that novelty. So it's beautiful in a deep way. And it gives us a moment to create some space from the crystallization, I like to call it. The crystallization, the mind really wants to harden and just do the same shit over and over and over again. And if you get into a daily routine, that's why day after day can feel so fucking mundane and exactly the same, because the brain is wired to keep things familiar. When we travel, when we create some space from that, we can breathe and start to see things in a different way and start to get in touch with what's really true and exciting for us. So travel is a really beautiful way to break free from, to create space within the mind. When it comes to the heart, generosity, giving, really gives us an opportunity to break free from our small story. These reactive patterns are designed by ego and our reptilian brains to keep us safe. And one of the primary manifestations of this in this day and age, and I'm sure that you can feel into this because we all experience it in some way, shape, or form, is this small story. What's the story that I tell about myself and the world around me that's going to keep me small and safe, that's not going to have me stepping out of bounds? This is the reactivity here. It's wanting to keep you tight to the guardrails. It's wanting to keep you within the bumpers of the reality that you've created for yourself and that culture conditions within us. And when we give, when we connect, so this is all, there's overlap here, mind, body, heart, and soul. All of these are going to kind of overlap here. And so this is heart as well as mind as well as soul. But when we connect with people, when we really get to know people and we give from a place of compassion, we care for others, we have a really beautiful opportunity to break out of our small story. I know, for example, when I get really tight and constricted and reactive and protective because I'm sick or my body hurts or I'm stressed about something, when someone comes to me and they share the hurt that they are experiencing and they ask for help, my body softens. Space naturally arises out of the remembrance of our interconnection and our genuine, I would say, God-sent desire to help each other. And when we remember that other people are struggling too, that other people are suffering, and that we can step into a space of giving and generosity and support and helping them, it gives us an opportunity to create some space from the small self-protective story that we can get really stuck in. And this is where we get really stuck in the mind, the story we're telling ourselves. But the heart here has an opportunity to open up, and we can feel into what's really, really beautiful about being ourselves and what we love to give, because what we have to give, our gifts, is such an essential aspect of loving yourself and recognizing what you get to contribute to the world around you and how fucking good that feels. So when we connect with others, when we give, we can create space in the heart. There are practices, compassion practices, and you can check some of my guided meditations. RAIN is a really beautiful practice, which stands for recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. If you want to try that, it'll be at the end of the video here. When we learn to relate compassionately to our inner experience and to the things that plague us, the things that we struggle with, we're creating space in the heart. We're literally creating space for the discomfort and the pain that we feel and we resist and we avoid and we want to push down. I don't want to feel this anxiety. I don't want to feel this anger. I don't want to feel this sadness. We can literally create space in the body and in the heart and in the mind for the difficulties of being human to exist. When you're constantly in resistance to the difficulties, the challenging emotions, and you want to push those down, you're staying in a reactive state. And there's no room for you to really get to know the you that you really want to be. We need to approach both. We need to approach ourselves. Self-love is a practice of wholeness. We're not just looking at the good, we're looking at the warts too. Peter Crone also says, love yourself, warts and all. So we can create space in the heart by practicing compassion with ourselves, offering compassion to others. In the body, we can create space, literally in the tissues. When we get stressed, the body contracts, the myofascial tissues lock down. And you can feel this, that tightness in your shoulder, that tightness in your hips, the tightness in your toe. I got a big toe issue that I'm working on. I'm opening up space constantly in this toe. When we get body work, or we massage ourselves, or we have gentle, loving touch from a loved one, or we cuddle with a pet, those tissues can open up and relax and soften and literally create space in your body for you to breathe better. When we breathe better, we breathe deeper, we're creating space. So here's a visceral kinesthetic experience of what I'm talking about. When I talk about space, you can feel that. After you get a massage or you take a deep breath, you can feel that buttery spreading out of the body rather than this tight contraction, which is the physical manifestation of the small story, of the stress, of the reactivity. These are all connected. And so we can work on each of these layers here to create space as an act of self-love. Create space in the tissues through body work. We literally create space in our system by nourishing ourselves with good, clean food and not overeating. You think about when you eat shitty food, you eat lots of cheese or fried food, your stomach gets bloated. You get full and tight. There's no room there. There's no space. We lock down. So how can you feed yourself in a way that creates space, that creates a lightness, that creates room for energy to move? On the energetic level, this creating space is about creating room for the energy in you to move. We're all energy at the end of the day on our core level, and that energy is the gratitude, the abundance, the joy, the play, the creativity that is the dopest fucking form of you. And so we're creating space for all of this to move through and start to live and vibrate. When it comes to the soul, nature, silence, quiet, getting out and being away from the spaces, the environments that trigger the small story and the contraction and the reactivity and the fear, getting out into the spaciousness of nature and just feeling the softening of the shoulders. Nature, a wise woman once told me that nature always gets everything done and it doesn't have to rush. I butchered that quote, but you get the point. Nature's just flowing. It's going. It's already slowed down. It is spacious. It is space. And it's chilling. It's having a good time. And when we step into nature, we spend time in nature, we really connect, I would say on a soul level, but also on a heart, body, and mind level to this spaciousness that we're cultivating. Think about how much insight comes through, how much perspective comes through when you take time in nature. And leave your phone, leave your distractions. If you need it for emergencies, lest we have a 27 hours kind of situation, I want you to keep your hand. Sorry if I spoiled the movie for anybody. I should edit this out. No, I'm not fucking edit out. Fuck that. Okay, anyways, I digress to progress. Creating that space creates room for insight about the things that you're creating, about the things that are true for you, about what you want and need. When you have that spaciousness, that quiet, the mind can really channel the truth that is at your core. Start to get to know that truth. This is not a one and done. These are practices that you get to implement into your daily life, into your habits, but also as habits, they create space from them being habits in the first place. Although there's a whole separate topic about how you can, meditate, and then meditation becomes this habit that you're avoiding. All of this can be related to in a reactive sense, but we're really trying to relate to this in present moment awareness as a conscious choice to create space in your life, create space in your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul, so that new perspectives can arise, so that insights can come through, so that you can get clear on how to approach this problem that you've been struggling with over here. When we're trying to force it, we can be way too close. It's like there's this fucking fly that's like right, but you can't see it because this would be better. It's like right in front of your nose, like in this blind spot. We have these blind spots. And the blind spots are where we suffer. And sometimes we're in this kind of middle ground awareness where I'm kind of aware that something's fucked up. This is that cognitive dissonance I was talking about, where you're like, I'm pursuing this path that everyone else is doing and is supposed to be right and good for me. And yet on the inside, I feel like something's fucking wrong. That's your blind spot, and it's that fly right in front of your face. And unless you slow down and create space and perspective from which you can see it more clearly, it's going to live there indefinitely. So in the soul, we can also create space through a spiritual practice or through prayer. And this is going to be unique to you. And different traditions are approaching this spaciousness, this creation of spaciousness, in different ways. And you're going to find something that works for you. I really have come to love at the end of the evening, walking in the middle of the street in my residential neighborhood, and there's little bits of light that create a visual sense that I can really feel in my body, and with the sky above me and the stars shining. I can really feel into the spaciousness, kinesthetically, but also on a deep, heartfelt and soul level, the spaciousness of the universe. And you can look up to the sky and you can really feel into the scope of this existence. And you start to feel a bit small and insignificant, not in a shitty way, but in a why am I fussing so fucking much about this and that and this and that? And for me, I have a conversation with life, with the universe. And this may land for you, this may not make sense to you or feel right for you, and that's cool. I encourage you to find what feels authentic for you. But I just ask for its support, for it to nourish me, for it to show me the way. And I just allow this spaciousness to be embodied. And there's such a restfulness in which clarity and authenticity then arises. Creativity, trust, safety can arise. That's an example of my spiritual practice, and you're going to have your own ways to do so. At the end of the day, these are examples. These are things that I do that feel really good for me. They're not comprehensive by any means. And it's a slippery slope, a positive feedback loop in a positive direction. When you start to do this, you'll start to notice, wow, it feels fucking great when I meditate in the morning. Meditation is creating space. It's slowing down to be with the breath, to be with the body, to be with the present moment, to be with the discomfort in your fucking knee, to be with the thoughts that are going through your mind, and to stop punching at everything, trying to fucking get away from it, which is kind of where many of us land and live our lives, is trying to avoid the present moment, which is infinitely spacious. Present moment is this whole universe in one fucking moment, doing the damn thing. It's as much me right here now as it is whatever the fuck is going on this back street in Beijing on the other side of the planet. It's happening at the exact same time. At the exact same time, it's aliens fucking doing cartwheels on a planet in a far distant galaxy. It's all happening at the same time. Do you realize how fucking massive and spacious this life and existence is? It's all here right now. And we spend in our reactive, fear-based survival, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful programming. And it also is the same programming that limits us and also truly guides us, because here we need the contrast of seeing that in action to then choose differently. It's trying to keep you tiny. So all of this is about self-love, is about opening up to how fucking massive you are and we are and this is. So find your ins and nourish them and play with them and get to know what really works for you. And find other ways. There's a whole infinite catalog, and you're gonna have a page for you, the things, your staples that create space from which the freest form, the most authentic, badass, and beautiful you can arise and rest and grow and give and just have fucking fun. Have fun. This is such a fucking gift. This life is such a fucking gift. Have fun with it. And we only get to have fun when we slow down and we create space so that we're not constantly reacting from fear. So I encourage you, if you dig this, try out some of my meditations, listen to some of my other videos about self-love that are going to help you dive into more specific ways and concrete examples, philosophical, poetic, but practical ways to deepen your self-love, because that's just cultivating space. This is the myth that's keeping us all stuck, is we think that we need to make something for someone else so that we can feel good enough within ourselves. This is the production myth. If I produce enough for my boss and for my job, I'll make enough money to be financially secure, which means I will be secure. And it's bullshit, because people get fucking robbed every day. They have their bank accounts hacked and they don't get the promotion and they get fired. It's like, that's not a great place to hinge your security. And we produce thinking, often giving to others, we produce feeling like we have to, we must. And it's coming from this place of hurt and insecurity within ourselves. And the truth is that when you turn towards and fill up your own cup and it starts to over fucking flow, then the real giving happens. But it probably doesn't happen with this shitty company that you're working with 9 to 5, 40, 50, fucking 60 bullshit ass hours a week, reactively, conditioned to produce. No, it happens when you fill up your own fucking cup and you realize, damn, I'm good at this shit. What am I wasting my strengths and my fucking gifts pulling strings for this fucking knob? No, go out there and give yourself in the most incredible, big, bold, fucking beautiful way that you can, because that's when we start to thrive as a planet, thrive as a species, thrive as all of the species. So my invitation here in this channel and in this conversation is for you to know that to love yourself and practice self-love is the most selfless thing that you can do. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to want to cultivate your love for yourself. Your loved ones benefit. Strangers that you cross on the street benefit. And perhaps if you're like me, who is ambitious and wants to make big change because I'm lit the fuck up and having fun doing my work, you may go out there and change a large section of society's hearts and minds in a really, really beautiful way. So thank you for showing up here. Thank you for giving yourself what you need and deserve and are worthy of. I fucking love you. If you dig this, subscribe. Let's fucking go. Have a beautiful now.